All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning, I'm Sunil Verma and with me is Sarabjit Kaur. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate World Dairy Summit at India Expo Centre and Mart in Greater Noida this morning. Prime Minister Modi to attend SCO Summit in Uzbekistan on September the 15th and 16th. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar holds talks with his Saudi counterpart in Riyadh. Two leaders discuss current global political and economic issues. Indian Railways overall revenue grows by 38% till August this year compared to corresponding period last year. General Secretary of Assam Pradesh Congress Committee, Kamrul Islam Chaudhary, resigns from party citing directionless and confused leadership as a reason. Last rites of Dwarka Sharda Peeth, Shankaracharya Swami Swarupananda Saraswati to be performed at Narsinghpur in Madhya Pradesh this afternoon. IMD warns of heavy rain in Gujarat, Maharashtra, West Bengal, Odisha, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh over the next 3 days. Carlos Alcaraz beats Casper Ruud to clinch his maiden men's singles title at US Open Tennis. Sri Lanka defeat Pakistan by 23 runs to lift Asia Cup title in Dubai. And in football, India take on Bangladesh in semi-final of SAF Under-17 Championship in Colombo today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate International Dairy Federation World Dairy Summit IDF WDS 2022 at India Expo Centre and Mart, Greater Noida today. The 4-day-long summit is being held from today till the 15th of September. It is a congregation of global and Indian dairy stakeholders, including industry leaders, experts, farmers and policy planners, centering around the theme of dairy for nutrition and livelihood. More from our correspondent.
Around 1,500 participants from 50 countries are expected to participate in International Dairy Federation World Dairy Summit 2022. The last such summit was held in India about half a century ago in 1974. The Indian dairy industry is unique in the sense that it is based on a cooperative model that empowers small and marginal dairy farmers, especially women. Driven by the vision of the Prime Minister, the government has taken multiple steps for the betterment of the dairy sector, resulting in an increase of milk production by more than 44% in the last 8 years. The success story of the Indian dairy industry, accounting for about 23% of global milk, producing around 210 million tons annually and empowering more than 8 crore dairy farmers, will be showcased at the summit. The summit will also help Indian dairy farmers to gain exposure about the global best practices. Unpermished, AIR News, Greater Noida.
Talking to AIR News, Minister of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying, Purushottam Rupala said, India is the largest milk producer in the world and the summit will provide an opportunity for the industry experts to share knowledge and ideas on how the sector can contribute to nourishing the world with safe and sustainable dairying.
इंटरनेशनल डेयरी फेडरेशन का ये समिट 2022 से माहौल में हो रहा है जब भारत की इकोनॉमी ब्रिटेन को हटाकर अपना स्थान 5वें नंबर पे दर्ज करा रही हो। दूध उत्पादन में भारत वैसे भी पूरे विश्व में 1 नंबर पे है और इसी के चलते इस क्षेत्र को वजूद देने के कारण प्रधानमंत्री श्री ने इस कार्यक्रम को इनॉग्रेट करने का स्वीकार किया है। ऐसे अवसर पर दूध उत्पादक के साथ जुड़े हुए एक्सपर्ट्स, इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट, एंटरप्रेन्योर्स और विविध स्टेक होल्डर्स एक प्लेटफॉर्म पे मिल रहे हैं। मुझे लग रहा है हमारे देश के डेयरी उद्योग के लिए एक अनुभव साझा करने का, नवाचारों को जानने को, इसको आगे ले जाने का सुवर्ण अवसर साबित होगा।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be on a 2-day visit to Samarkand of Uzbekistan from the 15th of September to attend the 22nd meeting of the Council of Heads of State of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO. Mr. Modi is visiting the country at the invitation of the President of Uzbekistan, Shavkat Mirziyoyev. The External Affairs Ministry said the SCO summit will be attended by leaders of SCO member states, observer states, Secretary General of the SCO, Executive Director of the SCO Regional Anti-Terrorist Structure, President of Turkmenistan, and other invited guests. During the summit, the leaders are expected to review the organization's activities over the past 2 decades and discuss the state and prospects of multilateral cooperation in the future. Topical issues of regional and global importance are also expected to be discussed at the meeting. Prime Minister Modi is also likely to hold a few bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the summit.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held a meeting with Saudi Foreign Minister Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud in Riyadh yesterday. They discussed current global political and economic concerns and agreed to work closely together in G20 and multilateral organizations. They co-chaired the Political, Security, Social and Cultural Committee of the India-Saudi Partnership Council. Dr. Jaishankar called on Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Jeddah in the evening. During the meeting, Dr. Jaishankar apprised him of the progress in India-Saudi Arabia relations and thanked him for sharing his vision of bilateral ties. Dr. Jaishankar also addressed diplomats at the Prince Saud Al Faisal Institute of Diplomatic Studies in Riyadh. The minister underlined the importance of the India-Saudi strategic relationship at a time when the world is at crossroads. He said India-Saudi Arabia collaboration holds the promise of shared growth, prosperity, stability, security and development. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal has said that India is on the path to becoming a powerhouse driving global growth by 2047. The minister said this while interacting with business community of Southern California in the United States. Mr. Goyal added that the transformational work happening in India has taken the country to the 5th spot among world economies. He mentioned that CII estimates India in 2047 to be a $35 to $45 trillion economy, taking it into the League of Developed Nations. The Commerce Minister said conclusion of the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework is an important milestone for free and fair trade with like-minded countries.
Nearly 3 lakh crore rupees worth of gems and jewellery have been exported from India in the financial year 21-22. Gems and jewellery sector is a focus area for exports promotion. There has been a nearly 9-fold rise in exports over the last 2 decades. Gold and diamond trade contributes about 7% to the GDP and employs over 50 lakh people. India ranks first in export of diamond and silver jewellery. In Morning Matters, now let us listen to a discussion on India and the 4th Industrial Revolution. The participants are Jiten Kumar Jain, cyber expert, and Sonu Sood, AIR correspondent.
Inaugurating the 2-day Center State Science Conclave in Ahmedabad yesterday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi called for concerted efforts to turn India into a global research and innovation center over the next 25 years, the Amrit Kaal. Mr. Jain, how do you see this effort to make science-based development a pan-India movement? And how important is the center-state collaboration for India to become a global research and innovation hub?
We are in the dawn of digital age. Now, this 4th industrial revolution will be powered by artificial intelligence, machine learning, and other scientific technologies. Prime Minister is trying to ensure that we build an ecosystem, we build research and innovation facilities, we build a collaboration between state governments, central governments, and the scientific institutions and academia, so that India becomes a global hub of research and innovation. We should celebrate the innovations of our scientists. He is trying to ensure that no talent, especially from the scientific sector, travels outside from India and settle outside. We have seen brain drain in the last 30 years in the technology sector. Best of our minds from Indian Institute of Technologies, best of our scientists left for the Western countries for greener pastures, and they never came back. Now he's trying to ensure we should build an ecosystem in India where they can stay back in India and innovate here, and we should celebrate and benefit from those innovations.
The Prime Minister also said that the center and states have to cooperate and collaborate with the scientific community to frame modern policies that meet local needs such as affordable housing, promote climate resilient agriculture and boost circular economy through waste processing. He asked states to promote research and innovation as per their local needs. Do you feel this will promote ease of living on various fronts in the long run, because science after all has been the provider of ease?
Prime Minister comes from a different perspective here. A lot of countries across the world have focused on innovations on the transport sector, aviation sector, power sector. India has done that too. We had focused a lot on digital sector. But at the same time, our government on this Prime Minister is trying to ensure that the people who are at the last leg of our society to benefit from those big scale innovation, they also benefit equally. So technology has to benefit for all. And if it has to benefit for all, it has to be innovated here back at home in India. And for that, you need infrastructure, you need collaboration between state government and scientists and central government.
India jumped to 46th position from 81st in Global Innovation Index in the last 6 years. And India is now the world's leading startup ecosystem with more than 107 unicorns and 77,000 startups. Mr. Jain, do you think this momentum will get a fillip with the government's renewed push to science and innovation?
Well, of course, it's a figure and achievement to celebrate. But I think there is much more than this statistics which is happening today in our society. Look at the Covaxin vaccine which was developed in India. I mean, we did not get WHO approval in time. Many of the countries were not willing to accept our vaccines, but India had confidence on its own scientists. India gave them infrastructure. India gave them enough push, enough security in case of failures. Prime Minister himself took that vaccine. He pushed every single bureaucrat in the government, the senior bureaucrat, to take Covaxin, not a foreign Covishield. Now, that is the confidence you inspire among public and the confidence you give to your own scientists that government and society will stand by in their innovations and courage and support them by taking risk. This is a new India where we feel that especially in technology sector, we will transform ourselves from a outsourcing economy to an entrepreneurial economy.
How do you see India playing a global leadership role in the forthcoming fourth industrial revolution, or which has probably started? Where do you see India in this whole, let's say, the global ecosystem of fourth industrial revolution?
If you look at 5 years, I think every big tech corporate today is led by an Indian, be it Microsoft, Google, or other companies. Now, celebrating these achievements just because these people are of Indian origin is one thing. But then also looking at our failures and trying to ensure that these Indian origin people should have been Indians. They should not have left home, and trying to learn from those mistakes and trying to ensure we build an ecosystem here is another which government is trying to do. Second, today 1 out of every 10 unicorn is an Indian, be it Zomato, Bajus, Paytm. So there is these companies are listing themselves here in India, not in a foreign stock market. So that is an ecosystem what we are trying to build, that if we continue to build this ecosystem and if we continue to ensure that Indian leadership is available in India, Indian talent is serving the Indian companies and Indian companies are serving the world. So this whole effort maybe in a decade or so will result in a way that India will be one of the most strongest digital economies in the world, then will lead India as a strong scientific power.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jain, for this incisive and inspiring discussion.
Thank you, ma'am.
You were listening to a discussion on India and the fourth industrial revolution. The overall revenue of Indian Railways has grown by 38% till August 2022 over the corresponding period of last year. The overall revenue of Indian Railways at the end of August this year was around 95,486 crore rupees, showing an increase of 26,271 crore rupees over the same period last year. The Railway Ministry said that the revenue from passenger traffic was nearly 25,276 crore rupees, showing an increase of 116% over the corresponding period of last year.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate World Dairy Summit at India Expo Centre and Mart in Greater Noida this morning. Prime Minister Modi to attend SCO Summit in Uzbekistan on September 15th and 16th. External Affairs Minister S. Shankar holds talks with his Saudi counterpart in Riyadh. The two leaders discuss current global political and economic issues. Indian Railways overall revenue grows by 38% till August this year compared to corresponding period last year. General Secretary of Assam Pradesh Congress Committee, Kamrul Islam Chaudhary, resigns from party citing directionless and confused leadership as reason. Last rites of Dwarka Sharda Peeth Shankaracharya Swami Sarupanand Saraswati to be performed at Narsinghpur in Madhya Pradesh this afternoon. IMD warns of heavy rain in Gujarat, Maharashtra, West Bengal, Odisha, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh over the next 3 days. Carlos Alcaraz beats Casper Ruud to clinch his maiden men's singles title at US Open Tennis. Sri Lanka defeat Pakistan by 23 runs to lift Asia Cup title in Dubai. And in football, India to take on Bangladesh in semi-final of SAF Under-17 Championship in Colombo today. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
प्रतियोगी परीक्षाओं की तैयारी अगर कर रहे हैं आप, तो ऑल इंडिया रेडियो की पेशकश अभ्यास है आपके लिए। इस बार का विषय है एंशिएंट इंडियन हिस्ट्री और आप अपने सवाल हमें 14 सितंबर तक व्हाट्सएप करें 9289094044 पर या फिर ईमेल करें abhyas.airnews@gmail.com पर। आपका अभ्यास हमारा प्रयास।
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर।
8700014242।
In a major blow to Congress, General Secretary of the Assam Pradesh Congress Committee, Kamrul Islam Chaudhary, has resigned from the party, citing directionless and confused leadership as reason. Mr. Chaudhary tendered his resignation from the primary membership of Congress yesterday and also took to Twitter to post his resignation letter online. In his letter addressed to Congress President Sonia Gandhi, Mr. Chaudhary also expressed displeasure over cross-voting by Congress MLAs during presidential elections and the party's inability to deal with the situation. This has demoralized thousands of grassroots workers like him who work day and night for the welfare of the party, he said. The district court in Varanasi is expected to issue an order with regard to the maintainability of the plea in the Gyanvapi Shringar Gauri case today. Security has been tightened in Section 144 imposed in Varanasi ahead of the court order. Security of the court premises has also been tightened. District Judge A.K. Vishwesh had last month reserved the order in the sensitive matter after the hearing completed on the 24th of last month. Both Hindu and Muslim petitioners have appealed to the people to maintain peace and harmony. Delhi Lieutenant Governor V.K. Saxena has cleared a proposal to forward to CBI a complaint over alleged corruption in the procurement of 1,000 low-floor buses by the DTC. Official sources confirmed it, saying a complaint was received by the LG Secretariat in the matter of alleged gross irregularities in the procurement of low-floor buses. A complaint was made to the LG that the appointment of the Delhi Transport Minister as the chairman of the committee for tendering and procurement of buses by Delhi Transport Corporation was done in a premeditated manner. It was also alleged that the appointment was done with an aim to facilitate wrongdoing. BJP criticized AAP following Delhi LG's approval of CBI probe into the alleged corruption in the procurement of low-floor buses. Talking to reporters in New Delhi, party spokesperson Gaurav Bhatia alleged that Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal and corruption had become synonymous.
आप सरकार की एक ही एक खूबी पूरी तरह से ये भ्रष्टाचार में है डूबी। अरविंद केजरीवाल है तो भ्रष्टाचार है। कहते थे कि दिल्ली में 11,000 से ज्यादा डीटीसी बस देंगे। ये पहली बार देखा गया। ट्रांसपोर्ट मिनिस्टर कैलाश गहलोत इनको बोर्ड का चेयरमैन बना दिया, जो एक अधिकारी होता था। अब पूछा जाएगा ये क्यों हुआ? सुविधा के लिए होता है ये। अगर अरविंद केजरीवाल का मंत्री रहेगा तो कानून को ताक पे रखते हुए जैसा अरविंद केजरीवाल बताएंगे वैसी ही शर्तें रखी जाएंगी निविदा में। वही व्यक्ति का चयन होगा, उसके बाद वसूली होगी, रुपया घूम के अरविंद केजरीवाल की तिजोरी में आ जाएगा।
The Aam Aadmi Party has criticized the Delhi Lieutenant Governor over the approval for a CBI probe. Party spokesperson Saurabh Bhardwaj said the Lieutenant Governor should first answer the allegations against himself.
Over the past 75 years since independence, India's largest public service broadcaster, All India Radio, has been the proverbial storyteller for the 1.3 billion citizens across the country. All India Radio is celebrating 75 years of freedom with the series आजाद भारत की बात आकाशवाणी के साथ. It showcases the journey of India since independence in various walks of life through the storytelling of All India Radio. In today's episode, we will bring you the story of Yellow Revolution in India.
The revolution launched in 1986-1987 to increase the production of edible oil, especially mustard and sesame seeds, to achieve self-reliance is known as the Yellow Revolution. Yellow Revolution targets 9 oil seeds that are groundnut, mustard, soybean, safflower, sesame, sunflower, Niger, linseed and castor. In a bid to reduce the country's dependency on edible oil imports, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on 9th of August 2021 announced a national mission on oil seeds and oil palm with an investment of over 11,000 crore rupees for building the ecosystem to boost the domestic production.
खाने के तेल में आत्मनिर्भरता के लिए अब राष्ट्रीय खाद्य तेल मिशन ऑयल पाम का संकल्प लिया गया है. सरकार ये सुनिश्चित करेगी कि किसानों को उत्तम बीज से लेकर टेक्नोलॉजी उसकी हर सुविधा मिले. इस मिशन के तहत ऑयल पाम की खेती को प्रोत्साहन देने के साथ ही हमारी जो अन्य पारंपरिक तिलहन फसलें हैं उसकी खेती को भी विस्तार दिया जाएगा.
Dr. D.K. Yadav, ADG Seeds, ICAR, New Delhi said that the government's aim is to make India self-sufficient in the production of oilseeds and edible oils.
You can expect the enhanced yellow revolution. In the laboratory, we are integrating the modern genomic tools now. As the conventional breeding, generally the phenotyping is a problem. So for many of the traits now, the various markers, either it is gene merit markers or the linked markers of different type of markers, they are available. And by using those markers, we are trying to introduce the desired traits in our mustard material.
In collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture and Education, All India Radio established farm and home units at several stations. Farmers' popular Kisan Vani programs across the country have mounted sustained campaigns on government's incentives for farmers for augmenting edible oil cultivation under the National Mission on Oilseeds and Oil Palm. Farmers learned about water and soil management, social forestry, environmental protection, new high-yield seeds and farming methods. Farmers received timely weather advisories and could even take courses on agriculture via All India Radio.
The last rites of Dwarka Sharda Peeth Shankaracharya Swami Sarupanand Saraswati will be performed at Narsinghpur in Madhya Pradesh this afternoon. Swami Sarupanand Saraswati breathed his last at the Sridham Jyoteshwar Ashram in Narsinghpur yesterday. He was 99. He became Shankaracharya in 1981. Swami Sarupanand Saraswati went to jail during the freedom movement. He also fought a long legal battle for the construction of Ram Temple. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has expressed grief over the passing away of Swami Sarupanand Saraswati. In a tweet, the Prime Minister offered his condolences to his followers in this hour of grief. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan said, the incomparable contribution of Swami Sarupanand Saraswati to the Indian knowledge tradition will be remembered by the whole world for eternity.
Spanish teenager Carlos Alcaraz beat Casper Ruud to win men's singles title at the US Open Tennis in New York last night. Alcaraz defeated Ruud in a 4-set thriller to clinch his maiden Grand Slam. The 19-year-old Alcaraz is the youngest men's Grand Slam champion since Rafael Nadal won the French Open in 2005. The US Open title win also sees him become the youngest world number 1. In cricket, Sri Lanka defeated Pakistan by 23 runs to lift their 6th Asia Cup title at the Dubai International Stadium last night. Earlier put into bat first, Sri Lanka posted 170 runs for the loss of 6 wickets in the stipulated 20 overs, riding on Bhanuka Rajapaksa's unbeaten 71 of 45 balls. For Pakistan, Haris Rauf picked up 3 wickets. Chasing the target, Pakistan were all out on 147 runs in 20 overs, with Mohammad Rizwan top scoring with 55 runs. For Sri Lanka, Pramod Madushan scalped 4 wickets, while Vanindu Hasaranga took 3 and Chamika Karunaratne bagged 2 wickets. Sri Lanka all-rounder Vanindu Hasaranga has been adjudged the player of the series, while Bhanuka Rajapaksa has been named the player of the match for his batting performance in the final.
In football, India will take on Bangladesh in the SAF Under-17 Championship semi-final at the Racecourse International Stadium in Colombo today. The match will start at 3:30 p.m. Indian time. Despite the loss against Nepal on Friday, India made it to the semi-finals as the second-place team in Group B on the back of its 3-0 win over Bhutan in the opening match on 5th of this month. Meanwhile, Bangladesh have made it to the semis on the back-to-back wins against Sri Lanka and Maldives in Group A.
India Meteorological Department IMD has warned of heavy rain in Gujarat, Maharashtra, West Bengal, Odisha, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh for the next 3 days. IMD Director General Mrityunjay Mohapatra said that Odisha is likely to witness more rainfall activities as a fresh cyclonic circulation is likely to brew over the Bay of Bengal around September the 17th and 18th.
The low pressure system, which developed over west central and then in northwest Bay of Bengal, moved across South Odisha, northwest Andhra Pradesh, and then South Chhattisgarh. Today, in the early morning, it is centered over South Chhattisgarh and adjoining areas of Bidar and East Madhya Pradesh. It is likely to move northwest towards Madhya Pradesh. Under its influence, rainfall has been increased over central India, and there has been heavy to very heavy rainfall during past 24 hours. As for the forecast issued today, there could be active monsoon conditions with rainfall at most places and heavy to very heavy rainfall at isolated places over Gujarat, South Madhya Pradesh, northern parts of Maharashtra and South Chhattisgarh during next 48 hours. There could be the isolated heavy rainfall over Odisha and Ganges West Bengal during the same period.
We also have a report from our Bhubaneswar correspondent.
During the last 33 hours spanning Saturday and Sunday, many parts of the state have witnessed rainfall to the tune of 50 millimeter on an average, with the highest rainfall to the tune of 167 millimeters being recorded in Dhenkanal district, followed by 108 millimeters in Baleshwar district. As per the meteorological forecast, the depression now lying centered over South Chhattisgarh is likely to move westward and weaken gradually in the next 12 hours. Yet, the fishermen have been asked not to venture into the rough seas during the next 12 hours. However, the state may get a respite from rain from tomorrow. Girish Chandradas, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Disengagement set to be wrapped up today, headlines Hindustan Times referring to 16 rounds of talks over 28 months between India and China on moving back troops in the Gogra hot springs area in eastern Ladakh. The Pioneer quotes the WHO as saying that COVID is on the wane, but warned that it is still taking one life every 44 seconds. The top headline in the Times of India reads, Delhi zone leads JEEA with 133 in top 500. Madras has 132. Punjab police has revealed that actor Salman Khan was on the hit list of jailed gangster Lawrence Bishnoi, writes the Statesman. And finally, the Indian Express carries the story about how a 2012 batch IPS officer Tejasvi Satpute used soft policing to crack down on illegal hooch distilleries.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate World Dairy Summit at India Expo Centre in Mart in Greater Noida this morning. Prime Minister Modi to attend SCO Summit in Uzbekistan on September the 15th and 16th. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar holds talks with his Saudi counterpart in Riyadh. Two leaders discuss current global, political and economic issues. Indian Railways overall revenue grows by 38% this August, this year, compared to corresponding period last year. General Secretary of Assam Pradesh Congress Committee, Kamrul Islam Chaudhary, resigns from party, citing directionless and confused leadership as reasons. Last rites of Dwarka Sharda Peeth Shankaracharya Swami Swarupananda Saraswati to be performed at Narsinghpur in Madhya Pradesh this afternoon. IMD warns of heavy rain in Gujarat, Maharashtra, West Bengal, Odisha, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh over the next 3 days. Carlos Alcaraz beats Casper Ruud to clinch his maiden men's singles title at US Open Tennis. And in football, India to take on Bangladesh in semi-final of SAF Under-17 Championship in Colombo today. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.